What's up? Welcome in on this Tuesday, the 4th of the month of November already. Where in the hell has this entire year seemingly gone? I don't know, but here we are, and we've got an NFL trade deadline that ended today. We've got the college football playoff rankings first edition just dropped. We'll try and fill you in on every, speaking of things dropping, we'll fill you in on everything that we possibly can here. We have to do it in time as that just went up. Still working on technical issues, so bear with us. We appreciate y'all. Arizona people are like, I had so many text messages tonight, Mack, like, hey, where's the show? Where's the show? Where's the show? Oh, yeah, in Arizona we do that stupid thing where we don't change clocks. We change time zones. So we appreciate everybody adjusting to all that fun stuff. What a weekend it was. Started on Friday night, carried into Saturday. Half of the country probably didn't see most of what happened on Saturday because of the pissing contest between Disney and Google. And a lot of people haven't even seen the college football playoff bracket yet because it's on ESPN, which if you're a YouTube TV subscriber, you didn't get to see. Plenty of stuff to talk about. Vegas Mac, what's going on, my brother?
Oh, I'll tell you, the best thing about Friday night is, as a dad with all the kids, you have to go through the candy, and I got all kinds of good little candies out of that whole Halloween thing. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, we've almost been in this house now for a year, and I still know the neighborhood. So, of course, as I promised on Thursday and Friday's lunchtime live shows, I would be in the driveway passing out candy with the iPad out there watching the World Series. And I felt kind of bad at one point. We had a lot of great costumes, by the way, but we had a mom and a dad came up with their little one, and I saw as they were walking up our driveway, they were both wearing Toronto Blue Jays shirts, and I said, hey, just giving you a heads up, watching the game here. If you don't want to know what's going on, they're like, oh no, we want to know what's going on. I'm like, it's fine, you got it. And then we met some of the other neighbors, and I realized something that we all realize when you get to about this age in life, that I am too old to be staying up drinking until midnight and doing Jell-O shots because Saturday I hated myself. I hated every fiber of my own being. I was not a happy camper on Saturday, and then I woke up and I went to turn on the games on YouTube TV like normal, and I went, oh yeah, I have to use the ESPN app that I'm paying for now. That was a little weird, but hope everybody had a safe Halloween. They took their mom and dad privileges to inspect all the candy, and oh, you know what? Everything that says Reese's Pieces, no, that doesn't look good. I should probably put that to the side. Is there one candy that you always try and finagle away from your kids? Is there one specifically that you go after?
I will tell you, if there are Swedish fish in the trick-or-treat basket, they come to me. I love Swedish fish. Yeah, that's one. They don't get any Swedish fish.
That's right. I mean,
that's on me.
The dangers of any foreign sea animal. I mean, I can absolutely see where you're going with that one. So,
absolutely.
I'm more of the sweet candy guy. Like Sour Patch Kids have always been like my Achilles heel, if you will. But we had a lot of candy left over, which I was not thrilled about. So, yes, there was a couple kids that won the jackpot, and I said, hey, give me your bag, and dumped it all in. Told multiple kids to come back around the neighborhood multiple times. So, hope everybody had a happy and safe Halloween. We're into the month. And by the way, and you and I I know you and I will be on opposite sides of this argument here. But I want to take this time, show for the people, by the people, and about the people, to remind people that there is a holiday in between Halloween and Christmas that we all seemingly like to forget. I've got people in my neighborhood that still have Halloween decorations up. That's fine. I get it. You know, it's within a week. I give you some grace there. But why do we just gloss past freaking Thanksgiving every year? There's already people putting Christmas decorations up. You, my friend, are a culprit in this predicament, and I'm sure I'm going to hear from Mama Mack here in just a couple of minutes in the comment section. Why do we can't bypass Thanksgiving, man?
Well, I don't say that we bypass it because we love Thanksgiving, but the multitude of Christmas decorations that my wife and I have, it takes a good month to get them up. I mean, I can't remember exactly, but I think I'll say this before now that you're done drinking. I think we had 7 trees up last year in the house. I think we're up to 9 now. I'm not joking. Now,
Was it only 7 last year?
various sizes, various colors. This year we're going to be introduced to a pink Christmas tree. Pink. Not the tree itself won't be green, pink. The tree will be green, but the decorations will be pink. But different decorations, different genre, if you will, as you meander through the Mackenzie house.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about this at a later date because I could go off on a whole different rampage here. But plenty of stuff going on in the sports world, as is customary on the program. If you're watching along, feel free to comment along again. We know that there's some technical stuff going on. I was the one that chose to, my fiance and I, move out to the middle of freaking nowhere. So we're still working on those. Bear with us. We appreciate all of you. Feel free to comment along. Follow us on all of our social channels, at Mike Arana Show, everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not 12, and Snapchat sucks. But as always at the beginning of the program, it's time to get customary and trendy. And let's take a look at what's going on in the sports world before we get into the nuts and bolts of tonight's program. Obviously, today was a big day in the National Football League, and plenty of, I think there was more trades today, Mac, than I was expecting. One of the names that didn't get moved anywhere, Trey Hendrickson of the Bengals, but one of his teammates, Logan Wilson, moved. Quinnen Williams moved, both to the Cowboys. So I'm glad Jerry promised us a trade today, because God knows they could have used both of those friggin' guys last night in that atrocious Monday Night Football game. And as I mentioned in the video yesterday, getting in bed with the Cowboys it involves risk, and I took some risks, and now I've got cowboy disease because of it.
Yeah, I just kept waiting, like last night, for the Cowboys to second quarter they'll figure it out, third quarter even fourth quarter they'll figure it out. That was just a horrible display. But hats off to the Arizona Cardinals though too, for going out and their last 4 or 5 games they've lost them all, going into the fourth quarter, and they played well last night. So and they made not a trade today, but a big decision today about their new starting quarterback. And I have to, again, hats off to Arizona, because it's the right move with not going back to their original starter.
Yeah, and if you missed it today, it was officially announced, despite what Jonathan Gannon said after the game last night. And I can understand maybe what he said after the game last night, because you are coming off of a high, just the emotions of a game in general, and he gets asked that question, and no, Kyler's our starting quarterback. And when you pay a guy as much as the Cardinals have paid Kyler Murray, it's understandable. That being said, this offense has looked leaps and bounds better with Jacoby Brissett, and the biggest reason for that, well, there's a couple reasons for that. One of the biggest reasons for that is, you're in a situation, if you're the Cardinals, as I knock my camera side. So yes, I am standing completely vertical, and yes, my shelves are, yeah, you get it. Arizona likes to run a play action offense. They have a dynamic running game. And that's the thing here is you've got a situation where if you're the Cardinals, that you either need to tell Drew Petzing to get lost, or you need to tell Kyler Murray to get lost. And in Kyler Murray, you have an asset with a horrible contract that's not movable, and an offense that fits Jacoby Brissett better, the play action, the dynamic run game. And you have to ask yourself the simple question, if you're in the Cardinals organization right now, why does Marvin Harrison Jr. look so much better now? Why does Trey McBride look exactly how we expected him to look with Jacoby Brissett under center? They're in a horrible spot with that Kyler Murray deal, and they're in a very terrible spot going forward here. And I do think they made the right call, which I was floored. I texted you guys today, you and T, and I was like, I can't believe they had the balls to do it, and they did.
Yeah, And absolutely. And Brissett's done everything that they've asked and then some. And yeah, and so now you have to look. Where do they where do the Cardinals go from here? I mean, obviously this is not a playoff team by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, the future with Kyler Murray is I don't think it's in Arizona. I don't know where it is, but I don't see it in Arizona.
Yeah, and on that big deal they gave Kyler Murray, there was, and I don't have the exact number, but I'm real close when I say this. There was over $175 million in injury guarantees that they put into that contract for Kyler Murray going forward. And yes, are there takers? I'm sure the New Orleans Saints would love to have Kyler Murray at quarterback. But again, you now have an untradeable asset, and you have an offense that seemingly runs way better. Now, sorry, Jacoby Brissett, you're going to start again this week, and it just so happens to be in a place where the Cardinals typically don't play very well anyways, against a team that looks really damn good right now. There is one dramatic and significant flaw with the Seahawks, but this is a tight NFC West race. You got Niners Rams playing this weekend. The Niners have the leg up on everybody in the division, and then you've got the Seahawks who just went into the district and absolutely beat the living hell out of the Commanders right from the freaking jump on Sunday. And now Jacoby Brissett's going to have to deal with that defense. But yeah, I mean, in the Cardinals' position, and Kyler Murray does have an injury, and apparently they've talked to 5 or 6 or 7 or 15 or 22 different doctors about it. And if he doesn't rehab it right, the risk for further injury is far greater. That's a great smokescreen. I'm not saying he's not hurt. I wouldn't question his wanting to get back on the field, but it's very convenient that kind of goes in alongside with them trying to make this decision right now.
I was going to say I've got a spot for him that I think works for everybody, and that would be to trade him to Las Vegas. That way, when he's done playing football, he can just go run over and play for the A's.
Well, they already have a shortstop, though. He's not going to get that. Oh, I mean, Jacob Wilson will probably get traded here in a year or two anyways. He's good players for the A's, so.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reality of the situation.
But yeah, like I said, they're in a no-win. Cardinals are in a no-win situation right now because you get this guy making all this money. He's. I mean, here's the thing: if Brissett doesn't get injured and continues to play the way that he is, when do you bring Kyler Murray back? You can't. I mean, this is Brissett's job to lose. And then, if that's the case, I mean, if he runs the table the rest of the year and he's your starter, what do you do at the end of the year? That's it. Really, the Cardinals are in a very, very bad spot. I can't believe that Murray's going to be happy with that either. I mean, I don't care what you say. I know he's competitive. He's not going to want to be a backup quarterback. He's just not.
No, not one bit whatsoever. Adam, yeah, he does, and thanks for checking in. He does. He is still technically property of the Las Vegas, Philadelphia, Henderson, Oakland,
Nomads,
West Sacramento Athletics. So if he were to go back and play baseball, he's still property of the Nomads there. So interesting that the Cardinals made the move. I applaud him for doing it. It's not an easy position to be in, especially knowing going forward that means if he's not the guy, you don't have your franchise quarterback on your roster. I think the question is why they thought he was a franchise quarterback in the first place to begin with.
Oh, man. No, he did have a year or so there where he was playing better. He was getting better, but you just don't see the consistency of it. And you saw it even this year, when he was healthy and he was there. He's again, I don't know if it's just he's not familiar with the offense, happy with the offense. This team is night and day without him, and that's really hard for me to believe and even say, but it's very true. It's very evident. I mean, Jacoby Brissett passes the eye test with this Cardinals offense. That's all I can say about that.
Other moves around the NFL today, probably the most notable, the Indianapolis Colts have acquired Sauce Gardner from the New York Jets. The New York Jets, who now have 3 first-round picks I can't wait to. I actually can't wait for the NFL draft. I know it's one of those things that we always like. It's a little overblown and it kind of drags out. And I can't wait
Right.
for the draft now to see how the Jets screw this up. But the Colts, they get valuable help on the defensive side of the football in acquiring Sauce Gardner, who had just signed a new deal with the Jets, and now he goes to Indy, and Indy trying to kind of strengthen their position. And I think there's something that really needs to be taken into account here with the Colts. They're off to a great start. It's a great story. Daniel Jones looks great. Jonathan Taylor probably won't get to the front of the MVP conversation because the MVP is a glorified quarterback award. He is the front runner and should be for Offensive Player of the Year right now. But a definite need for the Colts, and a thing I think a lot of people need to keep in mind here with the Colts. The beginning of the season for them, one of the top 5 easiest schedules in the NFL. Close of the season is one of the top hardest schedules in the NFL. So we're really going to see now if the Colts are for real, especially over the course of the next month or so.
Yeah, I mean, they took care of business when they needed to take care of business, and boy, oh boy, did they ever. I mean, without a doubt, like you said, they are now one of the front runners in the AFC. But you're right; we'll have to wait and see. To say they looked a little shaky this week in Pittsburgh was I was surprised. I really was. I mean, you know me, Mr. Pessimistic. I really didn't think that the Steelers had a chance in this game. Just and even after the first drive, I mean, the Colts took the ball right down the middle of the field, and I'm like, here we go. It's Green Bay all over again. But hats off to the Steelers defense. They turned it around, and the Colts just never got anything going. They never got their running game going, their passing game. I mean, they were under pressure almost the entire game. So, and then I didn't really think they played all that well from a defensive standpoint either. I thought the Steelers really controlled that game. Typical Steelers, though, it became a one-score game in the very end. But listen, in the course of the season, you're going to have hiccups. I'm sure the Colts consider that a hiccup. I don't like the fact that they have to now go to Germany, right? It's in Munich, right? Germany, to play their next game. I don't like that, although I don't mind that they're playing Atlanta, but that is a bad scenario for me to have a week like that and then have to be, in essence, out of your regular routine.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be interesting to see. We'll have plenty of thoughts on the upcoming NFL schedule on tomorrow night's program. But, last week we saw a week full of blowouts in the NFL. This week we see a week where a lot of the favorites struggled. And I think we're set up for a hell of a fight to the finish, especially in the AFC and especially out in the NFC West. A couple other news and notes as we sit here and move along. In today's I'm a Dumbass and I Pissed My Life away working a sports job, and now I'm in big time trouble. Last January, an Atlanta Hawks finance executive sent what seemed like a routine request to the team's accounting department. He asked that the franchise pay off a lot of freaking money to an American Express bill for a stay at the Wynn Hotel in Las Vegas the month before. The Hawks made a detour there for the NBA Cup, where they advanced to the semifinals. We get to the end of the story, and this guy is our idiot of the week here. And I'm missing his name here because my computer wants to be stupid. But essentially, this 46-year-old executive of the Hawks was charged with fraud and embezzlement of $3.8 million from the franchise, according to an indictment brought last week by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Georgia. Apparently, game tickets, a romantic relationship that he had with another team employee, bought a Porsche, tickets. I mean, how much more stupid can you freaking be to do it with the team's American Express card? Congratulations, dumbass. Now you're in a lot of trouble.
Well, I think the one kudos that I'll give him is at least he didn't buy concert tickets.
Jesus. And in the second to last headline we've got today, and I went, what the F? Why is this even a headline? Tom Brady says that their family dog, Junie, is a clone of their family's previous dog, his late dog, Luna. Why the hell this was on a sports site, I have no idea, but let's keep Tom Brady in the news. And finally, I know the one that Mack's been waiting all day to talk about, and I got to give a shout out to Mack's favorite league of all the professional leagues, Live Golf. who reinvented the game of golf with their 56-hole tournaments, is saying now we're going to expand our product to 72-hole tournaments. That is a groundbreaking thing, Mac.
Revolutionary. I have no idea where they came up with this. This is just something that I mean, I'm sure millions and millions of dollars and hours and hours and hours have gone into this think tank to come up with this. Before you know it, they'll have 4 majors and a tour championship to boot.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a worldwide golf tour that was going to revolutionize the game, and most of their tournaments are played in the States. What are they going to do next? Say that their golfers need to wear pants?
I know. Listen, my point on this, can we just figure this out? Can we just get rid of this? Can we just get everybody back playing the way it's supposed to be? Because this is not working. This is not, you can't tell me those guys are happy. You cannot tell me those guys are really happy. I mean, I'm sure they're happy when the paycheck comes, but they cannot be happy golfers.
I was going to say they were damn happy when the direct deposit hit, but yeah, it's just an absolute miserable thing, and another shitty attempt to go, hey, we're not as cool as we thought we were. The World Series ended on Saturday night, Mac, and it was an interesting World Series. It was a World Series that gave us every bit of everything, and it ended in catastrophic fashion if you're a Blue Jays fan, and triumphant fashion if you're a Dodgers fan. But an absolute hats off to both the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, and I had some more thoughts on that in my blog that went up today. If you want to sit here and point the finger at the Dodgers and tell me that they're ruining baseball, I'm not going to listen to your argument, because the Dodgers are not ruining baseball. The Dodgers are doing what your team won't do, and that's spending money to acquire the talent to win rings. And keep in mind, in that World Series, they played the Blue Jays, who had the 5th highest payroll in all of baseball last year as well. And if Milwaukee and Cleveland, for example, would have played in the World Series, everybody would go, oh, see, the Dodgers tried to buy it and they couldn't. No, the problem doesn't lie with the Dodgers or the Red Sox or the Yankees or the Cubs or whoever else you want to talk about. It relies with the bottom-feeding teams that don't even try. Milwaukee doesn't have a high payroll, neither does Cleveland. But what they do spend money on, developing the talent that they have. That's the key. That's the big thing. So get out of here with your Dodgers are ruining baseball argument, because I've got no business and no time for that argument.
Yeah, and that in itself, you're 100% correct. The other thing is, can we just stop blaming people for losing the World Series? It's just stupid. Listen, you had 2 really good teams play 7 really good games. Are they going to make mistakes? Yeah. I mean, teams are going to make mistakes. And I mean, we saw it. I mean, we can point to a lot of things. I mean, you can point to some base running in game 6 and all kinds. Listen, nobody lost that World Series. The Dodgers won it. They were able to hit more solo home runs. That's how they won this. The Dodgers offense was terrible. They got outscored. I think really they almost got outpitched in this series. And they still found a way to run. But let's stop pointing fingers and saying this guy lost the World Series and this guy lost the World Series and he should have done that. Listen, I think it was great baseball, and with great baseball comes really good plays and sometimes boneheaded plays. I mean, you see it on every level. You go to a high school game, a college game, a professional game. It is going to happen. I was just glad when it was all said and done that it did not come down to a instant replay with that play at home plate and an overturn like that would have been it. Like, you can't do that. You can't win or lose the World Series on an overturn call like that. I mean, I had my fingers just like, please don't do this. That was my only really concern. But it was great drama. I mean, when's the last time in a game 7 you had a bench clearing almost, fisticuffs? I mean, this was absolutely so much fun. Hats off to both teams. I mean, yeah, one has to win, one has to lose. And listen, the Dodgers made one more play than the Blue Jays, and that's all there is to it.
Yeah, the multi-time reigning managers of the year on Twitter were out out in full force all weekend. Oh, if IKF would have had a secondary lead and if he would have ran through the plate instead of slid. I mean, you could sit here and go, when you got a 7-game series that had an 18-inning game, an 11-inning game, we could sit here and nitpick 11 different plays in that series and find, oh, well, this cost them a game, that cost them a game. It was a fantastic World Series. The ratings were through the roof, so Rob Manfred looks like a genius. You know how much I hate that. But I don't think we could ask for anything else. And the cool thing about baseball, specifically baseball compared to the other sports, free agency starts on Thursday, and they're going to get right back into it. And we're going to see exactly right away, my point from a minute or two ago, the teams that are just simply not even trying to develop talent or to try and acquire talent, anything whatsoever, we're going to see already on Thursday who's already not trying for next year. My one solace, my feather in my cap is, you know what, Dodgers, you don't get to start the year to open the season next year. It's the Giants and the Yankees on Netflix, which, I mean, how many people will actually get to see that? But we're going to get right back into it, and it's going to turn around real fast. I know your favorite time of the year, hot stove season. You love it. I can take a break from baseball for a little bit here.
I have had my phone on like refresh all day, waiting to find out. I mean, already today. I mean, we knew Bregman was going to opt out for the Red Sox. We knew that, but Story's already coming back. He's already said he's coming back. I mean, so it's already started. I mean, I brought up the list of like, I don't remember this not deep but so spread out of free agents. Alonso, Arise, Bichette, Bieber, like 4 different Suarez's, Bregman, a couple of guys coming from Japan. I mean, you got starting pitchers, you've got relief pitchers, you got power hitters, you got outfielders, you got infielders, plus, I mean, I think the trade market's going to be hot. I mean, this is going to be a hot stove. This is going to be a lot of fun. I think for a lot of teams. I know for my team it is. I really do. I expect the Red Sox to be very active, and I think signing some free agents and making some trades. They re-upped with Jarren Duran today. I think he might be somebody who gets moved. But again, all these. Baseball is going to be hot this summer or this winter. It's going to be really hot. It's been kind of dull the last couple of years. I think this year it's really going to be interesting.
Yeah, and you're going to see a lot of teams. And again, that's the great thing is we're going to find out real quick right away who's going to actually try and who's not. Let's move on. College basketball back in full swing as the road to Indy began last night. We had some really good games for the first night in college basketball. And Mack and I are going to give you 4 teams that are not our final 4 teams, but 4 teams that we think could make some noise or are going to be very interesting watches. But the biggest game of all last night was the defending national champion Florida Gators and the Arizona Wildcats from the Hall of Fame series in Las Vegas. Arizona gets the win 93-87 over the Gators. And I've got a bone to pick specifically with Fox Sports 1 here. I'm sitting here watching some of the other games. I was watching Michigan and Oakland play last night. Everybody that's followed us long enough knows I am a basketball freaking junkie. This is my favorite time of the year. And I'm seeing on the bottom ticker of the screen, upset alert. Florida loses to Arizona, handing the Gators their first loss of the season. Well, first of all, my comment would be, no shit, it's the first game of the season. Second of all, college basketball, I think more than college football, is the prime sport to go, hey, you know what? Beginning of the year, here's our top teams to watch. And they put out a list of 40. You put a cool little icon next to everybody's logo, and you let everybody play the month of November. We get through the Maui Invitational. We get through Feast Week, and then we start ranking teams. You're looking at a Florida team last night that lost Walter Clayton, that lost Will Richard, that lost Elijah Martin. They're big. Their front court is massive, and I think the Gators will still be a factor. On the flip side here, you've got a brand new backcourt of Boogie Fland, who transferred from Arkansas, and Xavier Lee, who transferred in from the Ivy League. It's going to take some time. And the same thing for Arizona. Everybody's going to overreact to the performance from Koa Pete last night, which was fantastic. But Absolutely. Let me advise you of 2 things here, and we know this very, very well. Arizona is going to let you down because that's what Arizona does. At the same time, Koa Pete is going to go through some growing pains. He's a freshman in a big-time program. Great win for Arizona. Great game out of both teams. Can we pump the friggin' brakes on upset alert and handing a team their first loss? of the season. Like I'm so over it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think you're right with basketball. I mean, just like, you know, there's basketball, college basketball is so deep. We know with these
Hmm.
with these second tier programs that come in. I mean, gosh, I'm going to get in trouble for this. Oh gosh, did you see Boise last night? They lost to a team.
Yes, I
No,
did.
okay. This was the best part. They lost to a team whose campus is in a strip mall. I mean, how about that? But
Hmm.
basketball's a different beast, and we know that. I mean, college football. I mean, the bigger, better schools are going to win because you can recruit more, you can get the better players. With basketball, you have two or three guys. We've seen it. You have two really good players. You can win. Smaller schools can beat bigger schools. It happens. Yeah, the word upset is that's an overuse of that, especially on night one. Those are two teams that are going to be ranked in the top 10 the whole rest of the year. Hardly an upset at all.
Yeah, and Florida's got quite the schedule, and you love to see this for a defending national champion. They also play UConn in their
Hmm.
non-conference schedule. They also play at Cameron against Duke. So you're going to see it, and that's why with college basketball specifically,
Specifically,
still struggling with English.
it's all right.
Feast week is Thanksgiving week. That's where we see the Maui Invitational, a host of other tournaments. That's really where you start to get a feel for who's who. And it was last year when we were talking about this at about the same time last year when I told you guys, I said, hey, you're going to call me a homer, and that's fine. I really think this Florida team can win a national title, and we saw what they did. So let's look at some of these teams, Mac, that both you and I have our eyeballs on as we go into the season. We each kind of came up with a list of four here. And these are, again, they're not four teams that we think are going to win the national title. They're four teams that we think could play a factor and wreak some havoc as they go through. I will start with you because your first one is no surprise, but I know you have a good reason for it, and I agree with it, and I haven't even heard what you're going to say yet.
Yeah, I mean, I had to put UConn there because this is, this may be Hurley's best team that he has. You want to talk about, prepping your team. They're not doing the Maui thing or any other thing, but their schedule, they have BYU, Arizona, Illinois, Kansas, Florida, Texas, and then of course the Big East schedule. This is a team that is very, very deep. And they're going to be very, very good. And of course, having to play through the Big East schedule is going to get there. They got a big, strong front court. They got talented guards. I love Solo Ball. He is, I think, very, very underrated as a guard, especially being left-handed. I think that kind of throws things off. Eric Ribe is going to be a interesting center for UConn again. Not a great first night for them. They played a New Haven team that was new. I thought New Haven played really, really well, but I can see, and UConn has a couple of injuries at the start of the year too. But this is it's a Hurley team. Going to play great defense. They're very deep, and they're going to make things difficult for you. And it's just pressure, pressure, pressure. Reminds me of the teams he had the last couple of years. Pressure, pressure, pressure. You get nothing easy. This is going to be a really good team. I'll be disappointed if they're not a Final Four team.
Yeah, especially with the two transfers that they got, Silas DeMary from Georgia and
Very
Malachi
so
Smith from
good.
Dayton, and Braylon Mullins. And those of you
Hmm.
that are hoop heads like me,
Hmm.
Braylon Mullins is a guy you're going to want to keep your eye on
Yep.
because he's already a top 20 shooting guard. NBA scouts are all over this kid. And again, it's Dan Hurley is worth his own theater by himself just watching him coach. Now he has said we're going to get a calmer version of him, but I saw in their scrimmage that was not the
No.
case, and I don't want to see a calmer
No.
version of Dan Hurley. It's the wussification of everything. I want to see a coach, and that's what Dan Hurley does. Speaking of coaches, Mac, my first one, and it's a team that I've got some cake on to win the ACC, which I think is kind of a wide open conference this year. And Ryan Odom makes his debut at Virginia, and I think he's going to be able to get some things done real quick here. There's good value on them. Obviously, Duke is Duke. They're on more than reruns of Leave It to Beaver, as we know. Thank you, Pete Gillum. But this team that Virginia has for Ryan Odom, and right now it's a good time to be a Virginia athletic team because we've seen what their football team's doing right now. But they've got a couple of kids here, and one that I'm really excited to see in the ACC. because I'm a West Coast Conference hoops fan. I always have been. I always will be. I love watching that conference. Malik Thomas, who transferred from San Francisco last year, 20 points per game, 44, 39, 85 splits. This kid can score from anywhere on the floor. And I'm really excited to see Ryan Odom in his first year at Virginia. Why don't you give me team number 2 on your hit list for this year? Because I think you're going back to the ACC, if I remember correctly.
I'm going back. The NC State Wolfpack got off to a good start last night. They won their first game. I was trying to see who it was against, but this is a team 12-19 last year. New coach this year, and with Will Wade, and I just like the way this team is constructed. We're going to start with Darian Williams. They had 7 players last night that scored in double figures. I just like the way that this team is configured. I love Will Wade. I like he's kind of a old school, new school kind of a coach. That's kind of how I put it. I think this is the best way to describe him. I love what he does. I think, and I love NC State. They're always like one of those sneaky teams that I think, everybody just kind of likes. So, I mean, they did have a real good season the last couple of years, last year. But I like the direction that this Pac team is going.
Yeah, my next one, an SEC team, and it's not the Florida Gators. And I know we have somebody that does watch the show on a regular basis in this part of the country. That's Oklahoma, and they lost Jeremiah Fears, and that's a big loss for any team. But they played the transfer portal about as good as you can, and they brought in Nigel Pack from Miami. Those of you that were familiar with Miami last year, it wasn't the greatest season for Miami. He comes over, and Xavier Brown from St. Joe's. They did a really, really good job. They replaced Jalen Moore with Notre Dame forward Tay Davis, also a guy who I think a lot of people are high on and should be. This guy in the paint is an absolute menace to deal with. I love this Oklahoma team. We know the SEC from a basketball standpoint is a very deep conference, but I think Oklahoma replaced the cupboard and restocked the groceries and did a really, really good job. So I'm looking for some decent sized things out of the Sooners this year, and it's a team I'm going to have a lot of fun watching for sure. All right, give me another one here as we cruise through the college basketball teams to watch as the season unfolds.
I was going to say, apparently I've got a kind of a theme going here. I'm not staying in the same division, but we're staying with the Huskies. We're going to the Washington Huskies this time. Danny Sprinkle, first year in Seattle, not great, but listen, he's got a couple of really good transfers. Desmond Claude, Wesley Yates. I love Washington basketball. I mean, I love when they're in the Pac-10. It was always a tough place to play. They got a really nice early part of their schedule. They got Baylor, USC, and UCLA. We'll be able to see exactly what this team is actually made of, but I think Washington basketball might be making a comeback.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that agree with you. My final 2 teams actually were in action against each other last night. I'll start with the one that's not going to get any attention, at least at the beginning of the year, and that's Villanova with Maryland coach Kevin Willard, who came over. We know Nova basketball has not been the same, and honestly, understandably so, since Jay Wright left. But Kevin Willard comes over. He built that Maryland program back up. We know the Crab 5 last year had a lot to do with that. He leaves to go to Villanova, and I'm really interested to see how this thing kind of shakes itself out, because not only do you have 3 talented freshmen there, you have 8 transfers, and they talked about it a little bit, BA and Grant Hill on the broadcast last night. It's going to take some time for them to mesh and for them to gel, and I think everybody thought BYU was going to blow the doors off of them last night, and obviously because of AJ DeBansta, and we'll get to him in a second here, but I was really impressed with how Nova played last night. I love the style of play that Kevin Willard brings to the table. Obviously, the Big East, I've made the statement, you've made it on this program. You're going to have a hard time arguing me off of this stance. The Big East is the best conference in college basketball, and it's going to be competitive, but I'm really looking at this Villanova team as a team that could peak right before we get to the Big East tournament, because that's how much faith and love I have for what Kevin Willard does. Give me another one you got there.
Again, staying with the theme, I've run out of Huskies, but I'm staying in the Big East because You listen. We both love this guy. We love Rick Pitino. I love everything that he does. I've always loved everything that he does. I'll till the day he coaches his last game. I love this guy. He dove into the transfer portal really hard. He already had a decent squad coming back. Again, the St. John, the Red Storm are going to be a menace again. 31 wins last year. Again, we just talked about the Big East. I mean, you're going to have a team that comes out winning the Big East with 5 or 6 losses easily because these teams are just going to just beat the crap out of each other every night.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really excited for what we get to see in the Big East, Pitino versus Pitino this year.
Yeah.
That's going to be a hell of a lot of fun to watch. My last team, I kind of hinted on them just a second ago. They played Villanova, got a 71-66 victory in the second half of that Hall of Fame series in Las Vegas last night. And that's BYU. Kevin Young in his second year there, and the all heralded, all world recruit AJ DeBanster, who's probably only going to be there for a year. Here's what I'll say, and I'm probably going to get some shit for this, but I'm going to say it because I'm trying to put it in terms that people that are getting into college basketball can understand. AJ DeBanston, what his potential and what the skills that he has is the equivalent of not quite as tall as Victor Wembanyama if he would have played college basketball. Like, that's the hype surrounding AJ DeBanston. Now, as we know, and TJ's mentioned this a lot with Bryce Underwood, the quarterback at Michigan, let's let him play some games. I think that BYU is a team on my list because I want to see if he is this year's version of Cooper Flagg. And last night he showed a little bit of everything. 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 21 points in 32 minutes, 50% from the floor. And I'm just intrigued to watch BYU. And I think if you're Arizona and you're Houston in a very competitive Big 12, you've got an eyeball kind of looking at where BYU is coming from because they could be a factor as well there, and a lot of the attention that'll go. So plenty of stuff on Tuesdays. We'll always kind of give you a roundabout in the round ball on college basketball. I'll give you the last word here on college hoops. Mac, what do you got?
I got a question for you. It's not so much a comment, but a question. We've seen in football.
Oh, that reminds me. You have a pop quiz tonight.
All right. All right. I'm ready.
That's why it's a pop quiz.
Oh, there you go. I goodness gracious, I didn't study. Okay. Well, anyway, hey, I was thinking about this all day, and I wanted to ask you. We've seen it in football. We've seen teams not hit the expectations that they have, and we've seen coaches fired mid-season. Are we going to see the same thing in basketball?
No. I think you're dealing with a completely different animal in basketball. I think you're going to see more coaches do what Jim Larrañaga did last year and say, I'm done with this. I'm not coaching this way. What Bruce Pearl did right before the season started. And Bruce Pearl on TV all year is going to be an absolute friggin' treat on TNT. But I think basketball is a completely different animal.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. I mean, I can't just see it in the middle of a basketball season, like we said in football. But anyway, I just want to kind of throw that out there. My last question for you, and then we'll move away from basketball. Is this Bobby Hurley's last year at ASU?
I think if you're Bobby Hurley, it should be your last year at ASU because I don't think, it's when we look at what Kenny Dillingham's done with the football program. And by the way, all you noobs out there that keep throwing Kenny Dillingham to coach your open college football job, you know nothing about Kenny Dillingham. You know nothing about the situation. Auburn, he's not going to go to Auburn. And as Graham Rossini, the Arizona State athletic director, said the other day, anything that he can do somewhere else, we're going to be able to do here. And you've seen it. The new practice facility that's supposed to basically blow out where the tailgating areas were, the covered parking and all that stuff. They want to make Arizona State a big-time program, and Kenny Dillingham's the guy to do that. Now, before we move out of basketball, I have a pop quiz. I'm all about the all-name team, and I found some college hoops all-name candidates. So I'm going to give you 3, and I'm going to ask you to tell me if they're an actual player in college basketball this year or if I'm completely making up a name to fool you. I'm only going to give you 3. I wanted to go 5, but I'm only going to give you 3. My first one, Wiggy Ball. Wiggy Ball. to tell me if he's an actual college hooper or if I'm making the name up.
Yeah, that's a hooper. You with a name like that, it's an actual hooper.
He is a hooper for the University of Louisiana Monroe.
There you
Very
go,
good.
Wiggy. Right.
All right, next one. Spud Webb.
Another Spud Webb? Spud Webb 2?
I just said Spud Webb. I'm not giving you any hints.
I feel as though this is a trick question. I'll say no. Spud Webb is not a college basketball player.
You are incorrect, sir. Spud Webb plays for Georgia Southern. I don't know if there's a relation. I didn't do that much homework today. All right. I'm going to give you two more because this one,
right.
There's no way I'm not going to ask you this one.
Okay.
Chandler Bing. Chandler Bing.
You know what? I just so want it to be true. Yes, Chandler Bing is a basketball player.
Chandler Bing from Friends nomenclature, as we all know, is a basketball player for the University of Vanderbilt. And props to him because on the top of his bio, in their media, pivot, very valuable skill in basketball. In the top of his bio, it says, "I have never watched an episode of Friends." So I love the guy even more.
Dude, you can just imagine like pivot, everybody yelling, pivot, pivot, pivot.
But he said he's never watched an episode of Friends, so I don't know if he would get the joke though either.
Gosh, that's too funny. All right, Chandler Bing.
I'm waiting for the first dumbass in a press conference at Vanderbilt that goes, "Were Ross and Rachel really on a breakup?" I know it's going to happen.
Absolutely.
All right. Before we get into a Friends tangent on the program, something I thought we'd never do. All right, last one for you.
Yes.
I've got some really good ones here, but I'm going to go with Fat Brooks. Fat Brooks. And if you're curious, it is PHAT.
Double fat. No, Fat is not a basketball player.
Fat Brooks is a basketball player for Central Michigan, the Chippewas. Not to be confused with Fat Hill, which is FATT, who plays at George Mason. There's some great names on this list. I might, you know what? TJ's back tomorrow night. I think the rest of these we're gonna have to give to TJ.
There we go. All right.
Let's move on to the matter at hand tonight. The college football playoff rankings out for the first time, and we saw, I think, what a lot of us probably expected to see here. I can't say that I was too shocked. If you missed it, Ohio State, Indiana, Texas A&M, Alabama, those are your top four teams that would receive byes into the second round. Your 12-5 matchup would be not ranked Memphis, the group of 5 bid, at Georgia. Oregon at 9 against Texas Tech. Virginia checks in at 11, which is an interesting spot because of the cut line that it moves, and we'll tell you who those two teams are. But you would have Virginia and Ole Miss from Oxford. Notre Dame and BYU right now would be head up with each other. The winner of that would go to Indiana. The first two teams out in order, Texas and Oklahoma. So in seeing it drop right before we got on the program here this evening, I can't really say I'm surprised. I think one thing is glaringly evident in this, and that is the fact that the ACC will get no more than 2 teams in, and the fact of the placement of Virginia is good for the Big 12, who might be able to get a couple of teams in here. I was honestly kind of pleased. Like Greg McElroy said, he was shocked, and Reese Davis asked him why, and he goes, because I actually agree with it. And obviously this is the first of many of these, and it'll change several times over the month of November, but I can't say I have any issues with what I saw tonight, Mac.
No, I mean, and unfortunately, I think that was kind of the fun part of last year, is that we had some disagreements. I think we had some disagreements, but I mean, I look at this and there really isn't anything that really stands out to me as far as I can say, well, this team doesn't deserve to be there, and this team probably should be there, at least at this point in time. man, I mean, it's one of those things. I mean, we talked about it. We said it was going to take a couple of years for them to kind of maybe perfect what they wanted to do. I mean, this is a really good job. I mean, if this is the way it ends, I mean, I think we would be happy with this. It's obviously not going to end this way. There's too many head-to-head games that are coming up. It's going to change, but I mean, I, I can't poke holes in this.
Yeah, no, I don't think you can. And when you look at the teams in order outside of those first two out, which would be Texas and Oklahoma, Utah, Virginia. Virginia obviously goes up because they would right now be the conference champion. Interesting to see that they put Virginia directly above Louisville, so that shows you right about what they're thinking there. Then you've got Vanderbilt, another ACC team in Georgia Tech, another ACC team in Miami, TJ's new favorite team, USC out of the Big Ten, Iowa, Michigan, Mizzou, Washington, Pitt, and Tennessee. That rounds out your top 25. So Virginia moves up, which I think helps Notre Dame more than anything, because Notre Dame was that team that might have been bumped by the group of five team, and because the initial placement has Notre Dame as high as they have them, I think that's a benefit for them that Virginia comes up. Notre Dame's got, if we've talked about this a lot, Notre Dame's schedule, they have to run the table like they did last year. They've got a big game that I don't think everybody's eyeballing the Notre Dame finish to the season. I think everybody also overlooked the fact that they're playing a damn good Navy team this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we could see what happened. That's always funky the way Navy plays, but I think Notre Dame will be fine. I guess if we had to, if we're going to nitpick, I guess that would be the one thing I said. Has Notre Dame done enough to this point to deserve that high a ranking over maybe a Texas or an Oklahoma that I think maybe has a better win or two in them? I mean, again, but now we're really kind of poking holes, small holes in there. That would be my only thing. I don't know if they've got enough big wins, but like you said, for the most part, I give them an A-.
Yeah, no, I think they did a very good job as well, and obviously games that are gonna, have an impact on this weekend. BYU, Texas Tech, that'll have the biggest impact. It was also kind of interesting to see where they placed Oregon, because we know there's a new emphasis on how you play in losses and also who you've played this year more than there was last year. And Oregon being slotted behind Texas Tech because the only game that Oregon's played against a really good team has been Indiana, where they lost at Autzen. So a big game for Oregon this weekend as they head to Iowa City to take on the Hawkeyes.
That's a fun little part of the bracket right there. I mean, those three teams, Oregon, Texas Tech, and Ohio State, no matter what that matchup is, I mean, those are three teams that can not only I mean, they're almost mirror images of each other. Very, very good offensive teams, and I don't think either one of their defenses gets enough credit for how good their defense actually is. That's a fun part of the bracket right there. And then no matter who Indiana would get in this, Notre Dame or BYU, it'd be very interesting to see what would happen.
Yeah, it would be very interesting. Maybe some payback for from transgressions from earlier seasons there. But again, this will change as we saw last year. This will change a million times over. ASU still has an outside shot in the Big 12. Ironic that the Big 12 is going to come down to, likely, depending on what happens, especially this weekend with BYU and Texas Tech, we could be looking at another 3 or 4 way tie situation here in the Big 12. And I think that's a good thing for the Big 12, because we see the committee thinks the ACC is all full of shit and those teams aren't very good because of where they placed everybody. The Big 12, I think, might not be the biggest benefactor from the way everything was laid out. I think the SEC teams that are in there, not a shock that where they're placed. And I think they're all well deserving. I think the Big 12 might end up being the biggest winner from what we saw tonight. Final word on the CFPs before we move to the National.
Just keep it up. Don't mess it up from here. But you're right. The Big 12. I mean, boy, oh boy, could they get? They can't get 3. But anyway, I like it. Don't mess it up. Just don't mess it up. You've done a good job in week 1. Don't mess it up.
I think the Big 12 would be happy and should be happy with 2. I mean, there are some really good teams in that conference, and much like last year, not the teams that we expected to be at the top of the conference. I think everybody expected Texas Tech to be up there. We've talked about BYU several times on the show. that
Yeah.
I think a lot of people wrote off BYU because Jake Retzloff was gone and the timing of it. And
Mhm.
he's going to talk about this, I'm sure, tomorrow night. The fact that BYU is over a 10-point dog at Texas Tech, something stinks friggin' out loud to me because that Texas Tech team is very good. That BYU team is just as good too, and they're expecting to have LJ Martin back for this weekend's game against the Red Raiders.
Very interesting. That's what I will say. That I can't wait to discuss that with them. Yeah, it just every once in a while you get one of those weird lines, and you just it's one of those. What do they know that we don't know? There's something there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Let's move to the National Football League, and as I mentioned, last weekend we saw blowout after blowout after blowout after blowout. This weekend we saw a lot of what's supposed to be the good teams struggle. One of which I'll get to in a second here, because just when I give the guy his flowers, he throws two of the worst footballs I've ever seen thrown in an NFL game in my lifetime. That team bounced real quick in the postseason. There's also a team in the AFC that I think is in playoff position now and has been all year that's not going to make the playoffs, and I'll talk about them in a second. But what stood out to you this weekend around the NFL, Mac? It was, as I mentioned, it was a really, really weird weekend. I obviously the Steelers having a defense again, that I'm sure stood at the forefront, but a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah, I mean, did you catch the end of that Chicago Cincinnati game? What the heck was going on with that? That had to be one of the most bizarre endings to a football game that I have ever seen in my life. Yeah, I think there were a couple of things that stood out. Number one that stood out to me is that Atlanta is still really bad, and I can't figure out why Atlanta is still really, really bad. The other thing is I was really disappointed in the Lions. To lose at home to a Minnesota team that I really did not think has played really good at all this year. To me, that was kind of a really that was a disappointment for Detroit.
You know what can happen still in the NFC North? You know who can still win the NFC North, much to your enjoyment and mine as well, and much to
Your
TJ's horror. The
your
Chicago Bears
Chicago
are one game
Bears.
out of, or they're technically tied for the final playoff spot in the NFC. It would go to Detroit if it was to be decided today. The Carolina
I,
Panthers are ninth in the NFC. Like, the NFC, I talked about the AFC being really deep, which it is. The NFC is just as competitive too, but it's not for everybody playing good football right now. I think there's a lot of teams in the NFC not playing good football.
yeah, I mean, it's like what we've been saying. It's like one week. I mean, we see one team like I'll use Atlanta as the example. I mean, one week Atlanta looks virtually unbeatable on the road against a good team, and then they come back the next week and they look absolutely just dog shit the next week. I don't get it, and so I like what we did this week. We talked about trust issues, but we went in a different way with this. We went with trust issues. Who do you
Mhm.
really trust? And listen, I want to start this off. This is a team that is near and dear to your heart. But listen, I look at them every week, and it's the San Francisco 49ers. And I just look at this team. Number one, it never seems, with all the injuries, and we know there's been a ton, they never seem to complain about their injuries. They never do. I mean, you read stuff. Every team is always complaining about the injuries. I never hear the 49ers complain about their injuries whatsoever. All they do is go out, and every single week is put out a good product, and they're a competitive football team. No matter, it doesn't matter who their quarterback is, who their running back is, who they have as their linebackers. Doesn't matter who they've got on the line. They just run guys out there and just get it done. And after a while, I mean, I look at them every week and I go, oh, there's no way the 49ers are going to win this week. This is the week they're going to get tripped up. This is the week. And it doesn't happen. And just after a while, you just sit there and you go, this is a darn good organization. You want to know why it's a good organization? It's a good organization from the top to the bottom through the coaching staff. That's what makes a good organization. It's steady. It's competitive, no matter what they put out there. You know, again, I know it's your team, and I wasn't trying to, blow smoke and make you feel good, but I really, truly feel that way about the 49ers.
No, and I think it's a fair point, and anybody that you can take your fan glasses off and see what your eyes tell you. The NFC West is the best division in football. I mean, I know the Cardinals are included there, but you've got the Niners, the Rams, and the Seahawks. And right now, it's funny because I saw a set of power rankings from a certain site that I think everything they put out is bullshit today. That the Rams are the top power ranked team in their power rankings. And I'm like, are you watching the same Rams that I'm watching? Because all three of these teams in San Francisco, Seattle, and the Rams are all very good. They all have massive flaws as well as every team in the NFL does. You know, the injury thing, I think, is a good point there. Kyle Shanahan, I think, should be the front runner right now for Coach of the Year. And I know Shane Steichen's done a fantastic job in Indy. I'm not taking anything away from him. He very likely could win it as well. But the fact that this team is 6-3, and they lost a game to the Jaguars where they turned the ball over 4 friggin' times with all the injuries. And oh, by the way, they lose another guy to injury this weekend. First-round draft pick, Michael Williams, and all their injuries seem to be happening to their linebackers and their defensive linemen. A lot of 49er fans, the 49er fans to me are in two groups. Old school real 49er fans and the ones that jumped on the train like just now, or like when the Niners got Christian McCaffrey, and you can very easily tell the difference between the two of them. But there's this group of 49er fans that are like, oh, they didn't go out and get anything today at the trade deadline, and they didn't do anything. Well, you got to pay attention to the moves that take place before the trade deadline. They go out and bring back Cleveland Farrell, and the kid's name from New England is slipping my mind right now. Mack disappeared on me. Apparently he doesn't want to hear the Niners anymore. We'll see if we can get him reconnected here in a second. But, you know, with the Niners, you've got a situation where now they lose another guy. And I think the thing that stands out to me the most, the absolute most, is the fact that the MetLife turf, yet again, has caused another season-ending injury. We saw it when it came to, there he is. We saw the MetLife turf when it came to Malik Neighbors and George Kittle, I think, and I'm glad that I heard somebody say this. George Kittle on the MetLife turf after the game on Sunday when the team basically already knew that he had an MRI, or he had an ACL, the MRI was going to confirm it. Kittle said when someone's field is the butt of a joke around all social media constantly on every NFL meme page, and everybody jokes about how bad it is, I feel like at that point, someone should take a look at it. No NFL field should ever be the butt of a joke. And why the NFL, and those are two owners in New York that share that stadium. It costs you a couple $1 million a year to maintain a grass field. Two owners could split that bill. What the hell are we missing here? Why is the NFL not seeing this? It's enough, and it needs to stop. You're muted.
Sorry, just coming back. I don't understand that, and like I said, and the same thing is happening in Pittsburgh. The field in Pittsburgh is an absolute disaster, and
Yes.
and I don't understand. I mean, I do. I mean, I know why. I mean, they say every year it's because the University of Pittsburgh plays there, and then the Steelers play there, and that field gets torn up. But I mean, you know that coming in. I mean, you got to be able to do something about it. You know that it. I mean, you have guys that are being paid lots of money to play a sport that already is very, very dangerous, and not having it being played on the safest surfaces that you can possibly have is inexcusable for any franchise, but especially those two in New Jersey and that one in Pittsburgh. It's inexcusable.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And final point here, so you got me sidetracked because you brought up the 49ers on your team that you trusted the most. But I mean, I get it, and I think it's a very fair and valid point. Here's another thing to keep in mind with this 49er team, and you know they're going to keep getting guys back. Could Brock Purdy play this week? I hope he doesn't. Let Mack handle the Rams again and then bring him back against Carolina. Not that they... You know, they're spry young group, spry young lads, those Panthers are. And the Browns, which are always a wild card, and Cleveland seems to be a house of horrors for the 49ers. But the Niners have played the most road games of any team this season, 6, and they're 4-2 away from Levi's Stadium. So this is also a team that is going to play a lot of their remaining games at home. They do have the big one on the road in Indianapolis on Monday Night Football towards the end of the season. But their only trips left are to Arizona, a place they're very familiar with because they had to literally play and practice here. So they have road trips to Arizona, Cleveland, and Indy. Those are the only 3 road trips the 49ers have left. They get a lot of these games down the stretch in Santa Clara, which I think is huge for them, getting all these guys back and healthy and being able to stay close to home. My team that I trust, or my person I'm going to start with that I trust the most right now is Drake May. I think I've talked about Jordan Love plenty of times. I gave him flowers last week. I'm rescinding the flowers that I gave him last week because, again, I saw him make... He's good for 4... He's like Carson Beck. He's good for 4 dumbass throws a night, and he seems to do it at the wrong time every time. But Drake May, to me, is everything that Jordan Love should be already. And I think a lot of that has to do with Josh McDaniels calling the offense. But he is very calm. He is very poised. And keep in mind, and don't forget, they have a leg up on Buffalo because of their earlier meeting. I really, really trust Drake May right now as any other quarterback in the league.
I think the one thing that shows how good this New England Patriots team is their record on the road, 4-0. They are 4-0 on the road. To have a young team, young quarterback, still young, new head coach, new system and whatnot, for them to be 4-0 on the road, this team is not going away. They're not going away this year, and they're not going to go away for a couple years. The New England Patriots are going to be a lot to handle in the next couple years. Oof.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's going to be quite the race to the finish. I'll give you my second one here, and it's more team-related, this one. But 2 things. Number 1, I'm going to call my shot right now. I called it last week that I think the Ravens are going to win the North. Obviously, Pittsburgh looks like they might still have a pulse on defense, so that could get interesting down the stretch. I'm going to tell you right now, there's a team in the AFC playoff picture right now that's been in it all year, and I think doesn't make the playoffs, and that's the Los Angeles Chargers. We saw Joe Alt now with another high ankle sprain. He will require surgery. He is out for the remainder of the season for an offensive line that was already banged up. The other reason why I think the Chiefs are going to the playoffs as well, and I think Denver, if I'm Kansas City, I'm more fearful of Denver than I am of the Chargers when it comes to the division, because Denver beats your ass on both sides of the line of scrimmage, and they have done that consistently all season long, and it's let Bo Nix kind of maneuver his way through a sophomore slump-ish thing that he had going at the beginning of the year. I think Denver's line play is elite.
Oh, without a doubt, they are. I think this will be an interesting week. We'll start with the Chargers first, because I believe they have Pittsburgh coming in to play. So that'll be. Am I right? I think it's who they played this week. I think it's the Steelers, isn't it?
Yeah,
I don't even
it's
know who my own team
up here.
Yeah, I don't even know who my team plays. But I mean, so I think that'll be an interesting matchup for the Chargers to see if they can handle.
Yeah, it's Sunday Night Football. How could you forget that?
Oh yeah, yes, that's right. Well, you know why? I'll tell you why. Because I still have Sunday night depression from when they played the Packers the other time. That just on prime time, so I'm kind of forgetting about that. Yeah, but anyway, so that'll be in it. That the Steelers will be a good matchup for the Chargers to see if they can handle the pressure. Because if nothing else, that's one thing that the Steelers should be able to do is put pressure on them. But you're right. It's like the Broncos are like that team nobody's really talking about. They had a couple of missteps. They didn't look good. And they're just like, you look up and all of a sudden they're quietly, 7-2, and you're like, wait a minute, that can't be right. Is that right? And you're like, yeah, they're just quietly getting wins week after week after week. And it's, I think it's one of those teams, and I think you're right. It's a team thing. They're not special. They're not flashy. They don't even have a lot of flash players on their team. They just get it done, and that's going to win them games in the playoffs.
Yeah, and they get going Thursday night on Amazon Prime as they take on the Las Vegas Raiders, who come in at 2-6, and without Jacoby Myers now, who was shipped off to Jacksonville, team that they lost to in overtime on Sunday. And I don't think anybody's really surprised with the struggles in Las Vegas right now. I mean, it's going to take Pete Carroll and the management group and Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator. It's going to take them about a full go through a season and an off season before I think they're a little bit more of a factor. Obviously, they need better quarterback play out of Geno Smith. But to be fair to Geno, you saw what happened this weekend when he had Brock Bowers back. Brock Bowers had a freaking career day. And I don't blame Pete either for going for 2 at the end of overtime. I mean, you were 2-5. You have nothing to lose there. Who the hell wants to see a tie? And Pete Carroll knows how to build a program, and that's what he's going to do. But it's in action with the Raiders this week. So that covers half of your AFC West. And then you've got Kansas City off this week, and the Chargers, aforementioned, on Sunday Night Football. I've been waiting all day for Sunday Night depression. You could probably sell that one to Carrie there. You might be able to get her to bite on that.
I got her on speed dial.
Eagles Packers on Monday Night Football as well. So we've got some games this weekend, some big time games. The AFC ones that we just talked about. We've got Steelers Chargers. We've got Eagles at Packers on Monday Night Football. You've got San Francisco and Los Angeles. You've also now got what's a way more interesting game between Baltimore traveling to Minnesota and how J.J. McCarthy handles another week here under center. Of course, the game that's in Berlin between the Jekyll and Hydes, the Flying Falcons of Atlanta, and the Colts, who, again, have that rough stretch down here. Buffalo plays Miami. Browns and Jets, that'll be a good one if you want to stab both of your eyeballs out. Other big one this weekend, this one's not going to get the attention. This one's not going to get the love that it should. The Patriots are in Tampa to take on the Bucks. So, see, we talked about Tom Brady's clone dog earlier. Now we're talking about Tom Brady's 2 teams. Is there one of those games that stands out the most to you?
I think the Patriots game is interesting to me. That is definitely one that I'll have my eye on. Of course, I'll always have maybe an eye and a half on the Steelers game coming up this week, because I just want to see if they can back it up from last week. I mean, was last week just an aberration, or is that defense really kind of back? We'll see. But I think the Patriots one is probably one that stands out more to me than anything else.
Now it is Tuesday, and I saw the twinkle in your eye. I'm pretty sure that we're about to do another Ticket Tuesday.
Yes.
Mack's favorite thing to do is to look at some ticket prices if you're trying to make a weekend trip. Again, show for the people, by the people, about the people. We're here to help. So, Mack, give me some of the ticket prices that have your penny-pinching wallet's attention.
Well, there isn't a whole lot going on really in the NFL this week. The cheapest one we could get, we'd have to go to Houston to watch Jacksonville and Houston. That's $42. That's way out of our price range. But I'm starting to see a trend here. Syracuse is on our list again. Syracuse at Miami, $8. But here's the best part. That's not the cheapest one of the bunch.
But baby, there's more.
We could go up to good old Chestnut Hill on the College of Boston College. That football team that their only win this year is against Fordham. The good thing is this,
and
I should check this. Maybe their hockey team is playing, so you could maybe get a doubleheader, go watch a really good hockey team play, you spend the money there. But you could see that this is not bad. It's SMU at BC for just $6. So, I mean, I'd love to go back to the Hill. I have fond memories.
Because everybody on Chestnut Hill knows what's going to happen.
Right. Oh my God.
Does Mama Mack know the fond memories of Chestnut Hill, or those stories you're not allowed to tell her?
No, she does not know about the fond memories of Chestnut Hill. That is they're ancient memories. That's way in the past. The other one that's kind of interesting, $8
Was
is
Paul Revere up on Chestnut Hill when you were there?
No, he was not. He was I think 2 graduating classes ahead of me.
Okay,
And
all right. Just wanted to clarify that.
And one ahead of Flutie.
What else you got on this Ticket Tuesday?
The one that I like that one, but how about Washington at Wisconsin for $8? That's not bad either. That's a decent matchup. Washington and Wisconsin, $8.
I would definitely do that because I could see Damon Williams play live. I could participate and jump around. And the report that came out today, just from August and September games of stadiums that sell alcohol in college football, Wisconsin people have drank $2.3 million worth of beer at Badger games, which sounds like a low number to watch that team play this year.
Oh, man, here we go. All right, quiz for you. Highest ticket price in college football this week goes to which game?
Got to be LSU and Bama.
I'm looking. Hold on. I'm not all the way down. Hold on. LSU.
You asked me a question that you didn't know the damn answer to?
No, that's not. No, it's not. That's. Are
Really?
you kidding me? What would you say that game goes for?
LSU and Bama?
Guess. Yeah. You're not going to believe this. Road trip.
Uh-oh. As long as I can see the Browns and the Jets on the backside of the road trip. I'm going to say $40.
57. But the most expensive is in Iowa City, Oregon at Iowa, 186.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. So, and then
that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah, that's the one. The only other one that's there was another one that was on $100, $168. First Bank Stadium, Nashville, Tennessee, Auburn at Vanderbilt. Other than that, everything's pretty reasonable.
Actually, $57. Huh. I mean, I'm still going to say I wouldn't go to the LSU Bama game for $57 because we know that Herb, if they struggle, especially against LSU, Herb will not have his pants on halfway through the game, and I don't want to be that close to it.
Oh, goodness gracious. This game...
So that's your... Go ahead.
I was going to say that it could be an 8-changer for Herb this week.
Ooh, Vegas Mack calling for a possible upset at Bryant-Denny Stadium. That'd be interesting. We'll get into some of the college games tomorrow. Plenty of stuff going on. Again, we appreciate you guys bearing with us through the technical issues. We think we have it down. It's going to take a couple of days, but we think we got it figured out. So tomorrow's program, we'll talk a little hockey, some of the interesting things that have gone on so far in the season. We're also going to get into the college football spotlight games and some of the big games that we're looking forward to, as well as some of our NFL spotlight games. And now, as we do on every Wednesday's show, we will also drop some liquid locks, and we've got some interesting games in those categories this week. So follow us on all of our social channels at Mike Arana Show, everywhere but Snapchat, because we're not 12 and Snapchat sucks. Vegas Mac, do you have any final words on this Ticket Tuesday?
I am really glad that college basketball is back. I really enjoyed watching games yesterday. I even got a sneak peek at the girls this week or tonight. UConn girls, big win against Louisville. Talk about a wagon. Oh, man, that team is something else.
And the issues that we're having for people watching out there, obviously, are some audio glitches. I'm really glad we didn't get a glitch the way you just started that last statement because of what you said. If anybody caught it, you probably heard the same thing I did. So, for everybody behind the scenes, for Vegas Mac, for TJ, who will be joining us tomorrow, as is per usual, we'll talk at you tomorrow. We'll talk with you tomorrow. We'll get some more fun things going on for you. So, for everybody behind the scenes, for Mac, for TJ, I'm Mike.